Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to the Den DBZALLSTAR. I'm DBZALLSTAR, or Steve if you prefer, and to me, my Omni collectors, we have in front of me a box containing my in-stock trades order placed on September 30th, 2025, received today, Friday, October 3rd. This is one of the quickest shipments I have received from in-stock trades, and by golly, it is hefty. Hear that? And the books inside, I like my Omnis, like I like my women, thick. I'm a thick boy. These are thick books. So, those of you who have been through a bit of a FOMO panic this week, you probably may have guessed what's inside this box already. I don't want to inspire FOMO. I do apologize if inadvertently I do. I am just very much excited to receive this box containing the books inside. So without further ado, let us quit meandering. Use our handy dandy box cutter here. Get this cut open and see what is inside, in the event that y'all have not already guessed. And I will explain the FOMO comment just for those who are unaware of what's going on. Oh, and wonderful. We have the first book I'm going to talk about at the very top of this box. So that one won't inspire my viewers to get the FOMO. So we have, there's the shipping invoice. We have one of the newer inserts, kind of built into the box, but not really. For in-stock trades, we have some lovely bubble sheet here to protect the books on their way to their destination. Love in-stock trades for protecting the books to the best of their ability. So we'll set these two chonkers off to the side, and we'll start off with a book that is still readily available that I put off ordering for a few weeks. This was released on September 16, 2025 from DC Comics. This is Scooby Apocalypse Omnibus, written by the great Keith Giffen, with J.M. DeMatteis and Howard Porter also as creators on this book. This series was originally published in concert with other Hanna-Barbera themed books, such as Future Quest, which focused on the adventures of Johnny Quest, of Space Ghost, and other Hanna-Barbera characters. The absolutely fantastic Exit Stage Left story about Snagglepuss by Mark Russell. Also by Mark Russell, the Flintstones 12-issue maxi series, released recently. It's probably been about 2 years now, but that's still recently, in a deluxe edition format. This was one of the cream of the crop books as well. And this omnibus, retailing for $125 US, collects the entire series. The entire 36-issue series. So what this is a more mature, not necessarily adult, but more mature take on the Scooby-Doo franchise, where each of the characters outside of Scooby and Shaggy kind of have to come together and figure out what is going on, what hell has been released on Earth, who's responsible for it, what does Velma know, why are Fred and Daphne involved. Well, you can read this in omnibus format in all-in-one now. You can also read it on DC Universe Infinite, but it's great to have this released in one full collection, as the last, I believe, 3 trade paperbacks had a very minuscule print run. And as always, you can get this at a discount on sites such as In Stock Trades, Cheap Graphic Novels, even the Bezos run Amazon site, you can get a hold of it there. But yeah, that's the first book. If any of the books you see in my hauls, in my overviews, my reviews, etc., you want a deeper dive on, you just want me to talk about it, feel free to leave a comment below these videos. This is still readily available from what I've seen. It was the top seller for the week of September 16th through in-stock trades. So hopefully, if it does sell out, DC is quick to reprint or restock. I say that because these next two books, yeah, it might be a bit of a different story. So let's move this off to the side, and we'll start with more recent events. So next up, we have the X-Men Age of Krakoa Dawn of X Omnibus. I know that's a mouthful. Volume 1, said to be the first volume of a potential 11 volumes to collect the full 5-year era of X-Men from the House of X, Powers of X event, which is not included in this and is going to be reprinted as its own separate oversized hardcover as it was originally printed, to the Fall of X and Rise of Fall of the House of X, Rise of the Powers of X, that concluded the run in the Krakoa era. So this is the standard edition cover. This, from what I have seen, is still available. There was also a direct market cover, beautiful cover by Russell Donnerman that has been declared out of print, out of stock at this point at the distributor level. So if you want that cover, it just so happened to also be the direct market cover for the X-Men by Jonathan Hickman omnibus, which is why I did not pick it up. One of the reasons, anyway. Check it out, see if you can find it. Maybe it's still available on different sites. So this one collects in a beautiful reading order that is summarized by the Uncanny Omar of Near Mint Condition in his overview. This collects X-Men, the 2019 series 1 through 7, X-Force, the 2019 series 1 through 8, Marauders, of course, 2019 series 1 through 8, Excalibur, the 2019 series 1 through 8, Fallen Angels, the full 2019 6-issue mini-series, so 1 through 6, New Mutants, the 2019 series 1 through 7, Wolverine, the 2020 series 1 through 3, and Giant Size X-Men, Jean Grey and Emma Frost, the one-shot that starts off a 5-parter from 2020. Retails for $150. In-stock trades had it for about $93 with the VIP discount. So this is the standard edition cover. This is going to be the trade dress, at least for the first two. Volume 3 forward has not been announced. Volume 2 is due out in early 2026. This is mapped in the best possible reading order. And you who have voted for this, who pushed Marvel for this, have yourselves to thank, because Marvel was not originally going to publish this omnibus. The fans pushed Omar, Omar pushed Marvel, Marvel published it, and it appears that the fans were right, because the direct market cover is, as I said, out of stock, out of print already. So if you want that, feel free to track it down. This takes place immediately following the events of House of X, Powers of X, and showcases the new type of life that's been created for mutants on the island of Krakoa, their relationships with the rest of the world, with humanity in general, and each series has its own kind of flair, with the X-Men handling X-Men style adventures, but also dealing with the political aspects, Marauders dealing with the black market and focusing on the adventures of Kitty, now Kate Pryde, and Emma Frost, X-Force being the Black Ops team, and Excalibur sort of being the mystical and Captain Britain focused series. several great moments throughout just this first omnibus. Cannot wait to get the second volume, and it'll be a true test. Most of the series will end that volume with issues 12, so we'll see if they're going to reprint the X of Swords oversized hardcover, or if that material will be included in a volume 3, which will most likely be an expanded edition of X of Swords if they go in that direction. I'd like to see some consistency, I'd like some answers, but only Marvel knows at this point. So, really happy to have this, because this was a great entry point for people interested in X-Men fans, for longtime fans, for somewhat recent fans. This was a great era as well. It did something different with the X-Men. Instead of having them once again on the back foot with humanity, it allowed them to create their own regime and their own source of power beyond their mutations, of course. So if you're looking for a great starting point with X-Men, wait for the House of X, Powers of X oversized hardcover, but do not sleep on this omnibus. We will be getting creator-centric Omnis as well. We've already gotten the X-Men by Jonathan Hickman omnibus. We do have the X-Men by Al Ewing omnibus on the way, as well as the X-Men by Jerry Duggan omnibus on the way. Both of those collect later in the Age of Krakoa. So if you want the very beginnings of the Age of Krakoa, post Hox Pox, this is the way to go. Really happy to add this to my collection. So last but certainly not least, and certainly, again, not trying to inspire the FOMO, we have this thicker than the Snicker book. This is the X-Men Blue and Gold Mutant Genesis Omnibus, or X-Men Blue and Gold Omnibus Volume 1. This is the direct market cover by Jim Lee. The standard edition cover, I believe, was also by Jim Lee, and was the cover to an X-Men annual. This is the cover to X-Men the 1990s series, or Adjectiveless X-Men, the 1990s series. Issue number 3, Christopher Claremont's final issue for that era of X-Men. And this, like the Krakoa era, is mapped to perfection. You can watch the Uncanny Omar's overview of this book as well. Up until the last minute, honestly, I'm going to, whether he wants to take credit for it or not, I'm going to credit Ryan. I'm going to credit my lady with convincing me to switch from the standard edition cover to the direct market cover, in part due to the fact that Storm is included not only on the cover, but on the spine bar. So what does this collect? It collects X-Men, or Adjectiveless X-Men, from 1991, issues 1 through 16, annual from 1992, issue 1, Uncanny X-Men, 281 to 297, and annual 16, Ghost Rider 1990 series, 26 and 27, X-Factor, the 1986 original series, 84 through 86, X-Force from 1991, 16 through 18, and Strife's Strike File, plus material from the X-Factor Annual number 7, X-Force Annual 1, Marvel Comics Presents from 1988, issue 89, and X-Men Odd Men Out, with the majority of this being written by Christopher Claremont, but major contributions from Jim Lee, John Byrne, Scott Lobdell, Fabian Nicieza, Whilce Portacio, Howard Mackie, Peter David, and more, with illustrations by Jim Lee, Art Thibbert, Andy Kubert, Whilce Portacio, John Romeo Jr., Tom Rainey, Rurik Tyler, Brandon Peterson, Jay Lee, Ron Wagner, Greg Capullo, Joe Quesada, and more. This retails for $150. When it was available on InStockTrades.com, it was about $93 with the VIP discount. So this really is what inspired the X-Men series, X-Men, the animated series from the 90s. That beautiful cartoon that was revived in 2024 as X-Men 97 on Disney+. At some point, you get too many X-Men, Professor X has to decide, what in the world am I going to do? to me, my X-Men? No. Go forth and find your paths, my X-Men. Split in 2 teams. So we have the blue team and we have the gold team. And this has a lot of nostalgia for so many X-Men fans. To a certain extent, it does for me. I picked up X-Men issue 1 for, I believe, either 10 cents or 25 cents at my first Baltimore Comic-Con in the early 2000s. I got to read Mutant Genesis shortly after, when I discovered collected editions and discovered cheaper back issues. I worked at a comic book store for a little while and got to read even further into the 90s X-Men, because my first actual new X-Men comic was Uncanny X-Men issue 390, which brought about the first end of the Legacy virus and the death of a prominent character who just so happens to also leave the X-Men in probably X-Men Blue and Gold Omnibus Volume 2 for a short amount of time. This is pure nostalgia and pure talent packed within these pages, and it's in a stellar mapping order. So if you're looking for a quintessential X-Men Collected Edition, I do have to warn you, this is confirmed by the Uncanny Omar of Near Mint Condition, who spoke to Marvel, to be out of stock, out of print. So the Bezos site Amazon, the header on eBay itself, it may be your only chance. Will Marvel restock? Well, when the Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky Omnis, volumes 1 and 2, sold out rather quickly, it took about 6 to 8 months for them to restock. We do not know yet. And I'm not trying to induce the FOMO, not trying to kill anyone's wallet out there, but I will say Marvel has taken a different style of practice when it comes to their Omnis. To avoid liquidation, and because they don't want to store anything, whether that's Marvel or Disney, sorry, I do disagree with this practice, they are printing closer to pre-order numbers. And unfortunately, that means they're leaving money on the table at this point, because this is a book that should be evergreen for sure. This is a book that should also be evergreen. When DC, since Gunn took control of a lot of the aspects, has a book go out of print, out of stock, boom, now it's a 180 to what they used to do, and it becomes available again rather quickly. With Marvel, it's a bit of a struggle. So I doubt Marvel will watch this video, but Marvel, if you're watching this video, please do things a little bit differently, because these 2 books alone for X-Men, Volume 1 of the Uncanny X-Men Omnis, I can name quite a few that should be evergreen, but there are some obvious choices to be evergreen, or at least available every few years without needing to be prompted. So please consider that. And I say that with love, and as a fan of your work, and in this case as a fan of these 2 brilliant eras of X-Men comics. It just makes logical sense to make these available. So with all that being said, that's everything I got in my haul for in-stock trades for the order for September 30th, 2025. I'm not going to be ordering a whole lot for October. I believe there's just an X-Men Epic Lone Wolf and the She-Hulk by Rainbow Rowell Omnibus coming out that will probably make their way into my collection a little bit quicker than normally, because it doesn't seem like you can wait on Marvel Omnibus editions anymore. But that's a whole nother discussion. I've touched on it as briefly as humanly possible here. I'm just so very excited, not just for myself, but for anyone else who's been able to acquire not only these 2 books, but this Scooby Apocalypse Omnibus and any of the other books that you're seeking to add to your collection. Because comics can be a great escape, and they can be a great way to build our community, our culture, and to build relationships. So at the end of the day, stay healthy, stay safe, get your workout in, lifting Omnis, because these are some thick SOBs. And be well, Bob.